Sisters, I am so excited to announce to you that I have officially opened my one-on-one coaching business as now a certified mommy millionaire life and transformation strategist. I've opened up my coaching business where you get to work with me directly to heal and transform your life. Do you have a knowing in your soul that you have more to you? Do you have this knowing and you're just not sure how to access it? Are you miserable because of it? Do you feel like you're just mom and you know that there's more than being just mom? Are you feeling stuck in your life and you know that you were created to be, have, and do more than what was already going on? Listen, I totally get you, sister. I've been there and it was one of the most crushing places to sit in. You're feeling stuck, like you will never get where you want to be. You've been spinning your wheels in the dirt and are not getting there. I was there too until I hired myself a coach. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you move from that place into a place where you know and have a deep-seated vision where you want to go and how you're going to get there. I'm here to help you to find more purpose and joy and laughter in your life. I'm here to help you move from that place into a place of creative thinking, taking actions toward your goals on a daily basis. And I'm here to help you understand that there's nothing wrong with you, to understand the blocks that are truly holding you back and how to break free from them. I know that my purpose is to help women just like you become free and so radically in love with your life that everything you desire becomes a reality for you. So, how can you work with me? I am offering one-on-one coaching sessions for an amazing deal right now with my beta group. You get 5 sessions for $200, and this is going to the first 10 people who sign up with me. After that, this pricing is going to go away and it will not be available ever again. So if you want to work directly with me, shoot me an email at katrinalelly@gmail.com, or you can always find me on Instagram or Facebook and send me a direct message that way. I would love to get on a call with you and talk about whether or not this would be a good fit and how we can transform your life and get you moving forward and out of that place where you feel miserable, like you have no purpose and that you're just stuck. So reach out to me because these 10 spots are gonna fill up fast. Welcome to the Just As We Are podcast. I'm Katrina Lelly, a wife, mom in recovery, certified life and transformation strategist, community cultivator, lover of people, and student of life. Each week, I'll bring you love, inspiration, share the harder things people are afraid to talk about, and guests who are willing to shine their light for you. I give you self-care practices and mindset tips to help you shatter the negative stories you tell yourself. Now is the time to step into the beautiful, loved, whole woman you already are. Let's walk this journey together. Hi guys, welcome back to the Just As We Are podcast. I'm your host, Katrina Lelly, and I'm going to just get right into this one today. You know, this time has given me such a beautiful gift of a lot more reflecting than I usually do. It's given time to slow down, and really our character defects or areas of pain or areas where that might not be working for us are really going to show up during this time. And so I'm here to share with you about, how can we make this time work for us? What can we do? This week is a week that I was a little bit kind of like not even sure about how's it going to go, because I have all of the kids here with me this week, which is totally fine. But the kids are also dropping into a new schedule themselves because the distance learning has commenced, where teachers are sending out new schoolwork and things for the kids to learn and do. And so it's an adjustment for all of us. And, a couple of my kids, the twins, were having a little bit of a difficult time with this adjustment this morning already. And, it's totally okay. It's totally fine because all is working in our favor. And, we're all going through something new. We've gotten a little bit adjusted to this new norm, and we've also gotten a chance to, be with one another in a way we haven't before. But I was listening to a podcast this morning, and I just loved what was shared by somebody, one of the women that I follow and consider her one of my mentors, Lori Harder. If you guys are not listening to her podcast, it's called the Earn Your Happy Podcast. Head on over to that podcast and give it a listen. It is so incredibly valuable. And I want to share with you guys something that she shared on there. And it's actually a quote that she got off of Instagram. And it just was absolutely so good I couldn't not share it with you guys as well. So we all talk about habits and discipline, and if you listen to my last solo episode, I talked about awareness and asking yourself the questions like, what isn't working in my life, and am I okay with where I am right now if nothing will ever change? And if you get really real with yourself, are you actually okay with where you are right now if nothing ever changes? And we all know change comes from changing our habits, letting things go, adding things in. And this is what came up this morning was this quote: if you don't start that thing during this time, it's not a time problem. So if you don't start that thing that you say you've been wanting to do during this time, it's not a time problem. It's a discipline problem. It is a discipline problem. So tell me, where did that hit you right now when I say that? If you don't start that thing during this time, it's not a time problem. It's a discipline problem. How many times did we say over the last year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe 5 years of your life, like, I really want to be doing X, Y, and Z, but I just don't have the time. I want to spend more time with my friends. I want to eat healthier and better. I just don't have the time to figure it all out. We've been given the biggest gift ever to slow down in time. Even if you're working, the majority of you have also been given this gift of time, because if you have kids, you don't have school activities to go to. You don't have sports events to go to. We've all been given the gift of the time. It's a discipline problem. Where in your life have you had this discipline problem? And how does it generate for you? How does it show up for you? We've been given this gift of time, and if you're not wanting to do that thing or start that thing, it's not the discipline. It's not the discipline. There's something underneath all of that thinking that has stopped us and held us back. This is where the importance of something that I talk about and coach people on is going to the root cause. There is something called a limiting belief holding us back. And a limiting belief is just simply a belief that we hold. And oftentimes we don't know that we hold that belief, but it constrains us in some way. Just by believing that belief, we don't think, do, or say the things that they inhibit. And Louise Hay says, if you accept a limiting belief, then it will become a truth for you. And so a good example of a limiting belief is oftentimes with family, right? Like family, it's the holiday, it's Christmas, so I have to go to my family. Even though this family is not nice to me, they're rude, they're mean, all they do is get trashed, and it turns into a big dramatic scene. But because they're family, I have to engage in that. And that is a limiting belief. But limiting beliefs are part of that self-sabotage. And it's not that we don't know what to do or how to do something or where to start or how to start. We can always figure that stuff out on the way. I mean, look at your life. You are an adult. You have kids. You've figured out how to be a parent. You've figured out how to have a job. You've figured out how to feed yourself and support yourself in some way. But the importance of going back, and this is where you start asking your questions to yourself of why. You start uncovering like, well, why do I not want to go running? Well, because I don't really like running. Well, why don't you like running? Well, because it makes, and you just start backing these things up and you start asking yourself why. And if you ask yourself about 7 layers deep, keep asking yourself why. And when you get that answer, go back down to, well, why? I don't want to put on this webinar. Well, why? Or I'm afraid to put on this webinar. Well, why? Why are you afraid of putting on this webinar? Well, because I'm afraid that people are not going to show up. Well, why? Why are you afraid of people not showing up? Well, I've had people not show up in the other past, and it just makes me feel like I'm not wanted. Well, why do you feel like you're not wanted? Well, because I just don't think people want to be around with me. I just have, experience of people leaving and not staying around. Well, why do people not stay around? I don't think that I'm good enough. You just break it down to the why, until you get to the root cause of the problem. And when you're willing to step into this area, you have to be willing to look at, why are you choosing the pain then? Like, why are you choosing the pain? Why are you not choosing to do something different? Why are you not willing to look into like uncovering what could really be the root cause of what's holding you back? It's not, why are you not disciplined in this area? Why is showing up every day for yourself so difficult? Like, there's a why behind it. And it usually comes down to some sort of fear of unworthiness or shame that you're carrying around from something that has happened in your past. And this is where self-sabotage comes in. This is where we go into ruining relationships. This is where we can even go overcompensate and work really, really, really hard. And then we end up neglecting our family, which is another form of self-sabotage. But, if you're not starting that thing during this time, it's not a time problem. It's a discipline problem. And if you have a discipline problem, there's a reason behind that discipline problem. It's not because you're a bad person or because you don't know how to do it, or it's not because there's something wrong with you, but there's an underlying limiting belief. There's a story that you're continuing to tell yourself that is not working for you. Or maybe it is working for you because it's keeping you safe, or what your subconscious believes for you to be safe. So, it's a discipline problem. And this is where coaches like me can come in and help you uncover what that stuff is. And there's usually some healing behind it that needs to take place. I was thinking about this today too. And as I was sitting, I also got to, do a little brag about myself, because Mommy Millionaire is putting together a page for my coaching. And, they asked me to share a little bit. What would I want people to know that are looking at my page to come in and coach with me? And, I thought back to the beginning of my recovery, which in May, I celebrate 10 years of sobriety. And this last year, I've really stepped into recovery on the other side of AA, which is Al-Anon. But had I not stepped into the rooms of recovery 10 years ago, had I not become open to understanding that my way of doing something wasn't working, and then became willing to step in that room and be willing to try something different and listen to somebody else, I wouldn't be the woman I am today. And the third part of that is being completely honest with myself. There's a line in the book that says becoming rigorously honest with ourselves. And that's getting like incredibly real and raw with yourself. And are you willing to get that incredibly real and raw with yourself? Even asking that question that, if nothing changes in my life, am I okay with it? Are you really okay with it? Are you being rigorously honest with yourself? And if you are okay with it, I love that. Like, I'm so happy about that. The thing is, I think if there were more people who were in that place of that complete happiness and they are okay with it, there wouldn't be so much ugliness in the world. There wouldn't be so much darkness in the world. There wouldn't be so much ranking on each other and drama and the need to tear each other down, because that comes from that place we're not actually happy with ourselves. So what do? Is we go inward and do the inner work. And I was willing to do that almost 10 years ago. I was willing to start looking at the inner self. And then after a few years, I was ready for more. And that's when I stepped into the rooms of a personal development seminar where I found out even more about what are these limiting beliefs? What is self-sabotage? Like, who is the highest version of Katrina? Like, how often do I go victim? Like, I really didn't hear about victim until I stepped into a personal development seminar. And I did not like it at all. I didn't like being told I was a victim because I was so pissed because I'd been running around for a good portion of my life, taking care of everybody else, fixing everybody else, being the only somewhat normal person in a household as a 13-year-old girl trying to take care of people with addiction and a dad who had run off. Like, I didn't want to hear I was the victim in that sense because I was a victim, and shouldn't you understand? And so, how do we shift all this is by going in and doing the inner work. And had I not been willing to go in and do the inner work, I wouldn't be here as I am today. And you guys, growth is not always going to look as dramatic as being a drunk who can't not drink every day and who is hiding bottles around the house, or a drug addict who's shooting up on the corner, or somebody who's beating somebody, or, somebody who's lost it's not always going to look that dramatic, but there is room for growth in everybody in an area or two or all areas of your life. Usually what happens when we're willing to start working on ourselves, it will affect our entire life. Have you ever heard that how you do one thing is how you do everything? And that's absolutely true. But being willing to do that inner work. And this discipline problem isn't because we don't know how, we don't know where to go or how to start or any of those things. It has nothing to do with the how. It has to do with what's underneath it. What is the story that we're telling ourselves at the root cause? What is that story that we're not willing to let go of? Or that story, maybe we don't recognize it. Oftentimes we don't even know what that story is until we start doing this inner work, and some healing needs to take place. Little Katrina was in charge for a long time. A little Katrina who grew up in a house who there was arguing and fighting, and there was alcoholism, and then a dad who left her, and then, not feeling like she was completely right to begin with in elementary school, having sexual trauma, having all these other things go on, and repeated patterns because of the way she showed up. So she thought she was in charge. And so I started a story, many different stories back in those times. And I carried those with me, and they grew and grew and grew because I didn't know any better. I didn't have any other tools in my tool belt until I was willing to do this work. And so when you're willing to do this work, it no longer becomes a discipline problem. I mean, yes, you do have to start implementing the habits and the things to go do the thing it is that you want to do. But when you start eliminating these beliefs and start pouring life into yourself and affirming yourself and healing these past traumas, you show up differently. And there's room for that growth in any area of your life, in your marriage, in your relationships with other women, or with other people or men or friends, in the way you show up in your work life, the way that you show up with your kids. And so there's all these different things that come into play that will start healing and growing. But if we're not willing to take a look at that underlying root cause, then it's not going to work. It's not going to do anything for us. So time's not your problem. Your discipline is a problem, and there's something underneath that discipline that's not working for you. Why are you not disciplined? Why am I not willing to get up and work out every day? Why am I not willing to eat healthily? Why am I making the food choices? Why am I choosing to eat the pack of Oreos? What are the feelings underneath it? What is the thought that happens before that? Like, what are the things that are going underneath it? That's what's holding you back. And then we get to work on the discipline. And the discipline is built up over small increments every day. It's putting into place one thing every day for 7 days, then add another thing for the next 7 days, and then building on top of that. And if you're like me, because you lived in a place of darkness for so long, and you come into this new awareness and this new light. I used to have black or white thinking, go big or go home thinking, and sometimes I still do, but it's like, okay, I want to implement everything all at once. I'm going to do all the things all at once. Well, you're setting yourself up for self-sabotage there, because we build habits one step at a time. You build a building one brick at a time. You've got to lay the foundation, and the foundation is uncovering who you are and starting to go inward to do the work that's necessary and needed. So I hope that provides some value to you guys today. It's not something that everybody wants to hear or talk about. And I have people in my life, just like we all do, who are okay with just coasting along. And they're almost on the verge of being kind of numbed out to what is going on in their life and the world around them. Or they're satisfied, they're content. And that's fine. That's totally okay, because this work isn't for everybody. But if you have an inkling that maybe there's something worth digging into here too, or I know I want to start doing this, but I don't seem to know why I'm not getting there, reach out to me, shoot me a message. You guys can all email me at katrinalelli@gmail.com. Send me your feedback, send me a message. We can set up a call. This is the work I'm here to do for you guys, is to bring this to you, to help you become aware, to help you step into the best versions of yourselves possible. And to know that even if you have stuff going on, you are loved and completely whole just as you are. The problem is we come to a place where we think we are broken, or we need fixing, or there's something missing. If only I had this piece. No. You're loved just completely and whole as you are. And that's the first foundation. That's like one of the big keys for us to all know and to recognize in one another. I hope you all have an amazing day. Hi friends. If you enjoyed this episode of the Just As We Are podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would head on over to iTunes and leave me a 5-star review, take a screenshot of today's episode and tag me at Katrina Lelli on your social media. If you haven't already, head on over to the Just As We Are podcast community on Facebook and hit join, where you will get to join more of the Just As We Are tribe. And remember that no matter where you are on your journey, you are completely whole and loved just as you are.